Hey everyone, tomorrow is the 1 year anniversary of when the WHO declared the COVID-19 pandemic. It's on March 11th of 2020. And then there was a few more days before Washington State, where I was living, officially went into lockdown. And I know it because I was living in my car at the time. I had a few favorite places that I would hang out. There was a grocery store called QFC, and they had a cafeteria, and I used to spend a lot of time there. I got to know a lot of people, and but it was very quiet. Not too many people sit there, and obviously we couldn't sit there anymore, and that's when I moved into an Airbnb. I got a very good deal because nobody was traveling, and I got an even better deal because I was allowed to extend the lease at the same rate because we had a declaration of emergency. Obviously, the owner wasn't very happy about that. But what was really nice about this past year, and I'm gonna have something to enjoy in the coming months if things go well, is that I got to practice with my social anxiety problems. So before the pandemic even hit, I rarely ate out at a restaurant because I have dietary restrictions. I got to explain things, and it just seemed a lot more trouble than it was worth. Even when I was living out in my car, it was a lot easier to get something that I could prepare. I had a crock pot that I could plug into the car. That was a lot easier than going to a restaurant and having to explain my dietary restrictions. But you got to understand, back in March or April, I was lonely, and so at that point in time, I didn't mind having to deal with the hassles of going to a restaurant. And so I had a few favorite restaurants that I went to. It was obviously all takeout at the time, and it really helped me get over some of my anxiety issues. I got over the anxiety of having to explain my dietary restrictions. I got over the anxiety of just talking to somebody. And then on June 1st, we finally went into phase 2, where we could sit down inside the restaurant at 25% capacity. And that's a lot easier than going to a packed restaurant, and I got to practice some of that. And then I moved out to the Rockies. I think technically here in Idaho, it's also 25%, but it's not very heavily enforced, right? And so I got to practice. Oh, I think we've gone to 50%, but it feels more like 100%, and I got to practice that. What gets me really excited is that a couple weeks ago, or I think last week, we had some news that if you're vaccinated, you're allowed to do a few more things, right? You don't have to wear a mask if you're around other vaccinated people. I hope they will update that to include everybody else who has antibodies from getting the virus itself. And then I'll be able to graduate to the next level of my little 12-step social anxiety program, right? For the purposes of donating blood, they already take blood from people who have gotten the virus and have antibodies, and I think they use it to treat people who are recovering from COVID-19. I've given blood a few times. One of my favorite things to do when I give blood is to take a bunch of alpha-lipoic acid right before giving blood. It chelates of heavy metals out of your brain into your bloodstream, but a lot of that gets redistributed to your brain after you stop taking it. So what I love to do is take it in the hours leading up to giving blood and then give the blood. Hopefully the person getting the blood will have better ways to detoxify mercury than I do. I have high-functioning autism as a result of my inability to get rid of mercury. So I'm hoping that eventually they'll treat people who have antibodies the same, and then I'll be able to graduate onto the next level of the 12-step program. Hopefully by the end of this year, I'll completely graduate from the program and go out to those social events just like everybody else back in 2019, right? Well, I hope it for the country. I also hope it for myself, because I want to make sure that I've actually graduated. I had a lot of problems with social anxiety a year ago, 2 years ago, and I've really done a number as a result of this past year. It's been a very big silver lining. Anyways, has the COVID-19 pandemic over the last year had a silver lining to you? Were you able to get something out of the unusual circumstance? Leave a comment.